What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here, welcoming you to part 1 of a brand new Total War Warhammer 3 campaign. Immortal Empires is finally here, and it is only fitting that an immortal empire be led by an immortal emperor. Vlad and Isabella won the community vote in a batslide, and I couldn't be happier. If you've seen any of my previous Total Warhammer campaigns, you will probably know that the vampire counts are by far my favorite faction, and that really hasn't changed. I've played them to death, but now with Game 3, they've had some significant changes to them, to raise dead, to corruption, to leadership, and of course the fact that Vlad and Isabella are now united as one, as Lord and Hero. Vlad may still start here in Sylvania, but he's no longer contested by Manfred starting right beside him, and now he has Kislev to the north, as well as other new enemies nearby, essentially completely changing the regional dynamics. Everything old is new again. Anyway, before we jump in and check all that out, a few quick things. If you enjoy this content and you want to see it updated regularly, don't forget to drop your likes and comments for the algorithm down below. As always, a huge shout out to you guys for all your comments and support. YouTube's my hobby, and your comments keep it fun, keep the channel alive, and keep these videos coming. That's all. Let's take a quick look at the faction, but feel free to skip to gameplay via timestamps below. So Vlad, he starts with a black coach, which is interesting because I'll be curious to see how effective it is going to be as compared to vanilla, because yeah, the less we talk about vanilla black coach, the better. Anyway, start with one blood kiss, which is, I believe, the same thing for Isabella as well, and access to unique building in Castle Drakenhof, similarly. And really the only difference is, looks like Vlad gets the campaign movement range plus 10%, and Isabella gets the plus 3 vamps, and 25% embedded vampire hero's weapon strength. It seems on the face of it that Isabella's is quite a bit better, though campaign movement range for all armies is certainly not nothing. Otherwise, the Lord effects battle healing cap plus 50% when together with Isabella. Makes sense that they actually get some kind of bonus when acting together. And then, of course, Vlad has the siege attacker attribute and doesn't have to build stuff to attack, so no towers or rams needed, and why would they need it? The vamps, I mean. And then lastly, all units in Vlad's army receive that Vanguard deployment, which is a pretty damn ridiculously powerful ability. I'd be curious to know whether he still provides this to Isabella's army if he acts as a hero. I might actually just launch a separate thing just to try that out to see if it still works. But otherwise, I just think since Vlad is canonically the leader of the faction, it's only appropriate that he leads the faction. Anyway, settings, very hard, very hard. That's about it. Let's raise some dead.
The world will drown in blood.
Ah, yes. Yes, it will, and yes, it will again for me, because damn have I played the vamps a lot in my time. Alrighty, and we start off with Castle Drakenhof now, rather than having to immediately attack Manfred and conquer it, which is pretty interesting, and certainly works for a stronger start for Vlad, especially for those who chose not to attack Manny in the hopes of confederating him soon. Anyway, obviously, ooh. I was about to say, obviously we build the gold mine here immediately for the money, but the question is, do we actually? There's a building here that will allow us hero recruitment cost reduction, rank, and capacity for vamps right off the bat, though the building doesn't actually help us grow much. Our growth is really low. On the other hand, we will unlock 2 more buildings here immediately. Well, the growth remains, though. You know, well, let's start with upgrading you. We'll leave Schwarzhofen alone for now. Oh, it feels so weird that Schwarzhofen is not the capital anymore. Interesting. Alrighty, and we do start off with Isabella, who does have the Blood Chalice of Bathory equipped already, so I guess we don't have to do the mission for that as well. Yes, Vlad, the world will drown in blood. Now, alright, wait. So you still buff up Vargulfs, Vargeists, and Terrorgeists in your own army, as well as Wolves and Fellbats. But since you're a hero now, this is powering up Vlad's army even further. Oh, that's very interesting. That's very interesting indeed. Whereas Vlad still has the basics, but still powers up Sylvanian crossbows and handgunners. Okay, interesting. Ooh, base weapon, straight up +5 weapon damage and weapon strength for own army, and enables sundering attacks for Vlad, Alright, good stuff. Good stuff. Anyway, Isabella, you're gonna join Vladdy Daddy. And Emmanuel Posner, you always are part of this army. Damn, too bad you start with Dark Majesty, but oh well. It's not horrible, I guess. And now, how does Raise Dead work now? So what is this? There's a 20% chance that one of this unit will become available for recruitment next turn. Okay. And let's see, what is this? Number of units currently available for recruitment in this pool. Is there a max? Okay, it's 1 out of 1. Okay, so what makes it rise? Wink. Nakari, where are you? Where is... Let's see, the dead rise again 16. As I understand it, the corruption has a massive effect on the raising of the dead. You know what, let's figure it out as we go, but for now, let's get our first battle going. A little vampire on vampire action. This will be a cinematic battle because it is the first debut battle for Vladdy Daddy and Isabella working together. Let's see them take on Dieter here.
It shall be so.
Alright, all I heard there was "it shall be so," and this is going to be the debut of Vlad and Isabella. I don't think that they're going to have any kind of trouble with this army, but at least we'll be able to see all the new units, or the old units in the newly updated graphics. In addition to that, I'm surprised that we start with the Black Coach. I'm quite curious to see whether it's become a little bit better than it used to be in terms of how effective it was in vanilla of Total Warhammer 1. I remember in vanilla of Total Warhammer 1, this thing was absolute trash and just not worth using. But then in SFO, it got a little bit better, and with a significant amount of upgrades, could actually be quite nice. We'll see what it's like here. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off by having our Blood Knights charge in right after the Black Coach, which is now distracting those dire wolves. Vlad and Isabella are heading directly towards the enemy army here with the Grave Guard behind them and the other vampire ready to support them as well from behind those same Grave Guard. We also have our Vargeists and our Bats ready to move in and hit the enemy armies in the back. I don't imagine that the enemy has a prayer here. There we go. And it's very appropriate to see these two working together as part of a single army, rather than just having to reinforce each other as it was originally done, so I do like the change. And here comes the enemy lord, a standard vampire lord by the looks of it. Some nice armor. I like those horn things that, or spine things, I suppose, that grow out the back of the vampire's armor. Also, it's a very nice cloak. Honestly, it looks like a nicer cloak than Vlad's does. But to be fair, Vlad is more of like, he's using his like beastly form in this one, right? Like the form meant to intimidate. I remember back in vanilla there was a lot of talking about why the heck does Vlad look like that, but Vlad can look like anything he wants. Not only does he have vampiric glamour and magical glamour in general, but he's also a shapeshifter, so he's looking like this on purpose. This is his war phase. I think that's the best explanation, and one I personally would have to agree with. Alrighty, let's see how we're doing here. The enemy army got extremely quickly overwhelmed and is pretty much done. The Black Coach has gotten 24 kills, though not nearly as many as the Blood Knights, that, while it shouldn't be surprising. At least it did something. I'll be curious to see how effective it'll be against, like, more chaff infantry, maybe zombies or skeleton warriors or something like that, because it started the battle against the enemy, against the enemy direwolves. It was never going to do all that much. Anyway, it's just a super quick battle that is impossible to lose. We just wanted to take a quick look at our units. We'll get a proper cinematic battle going very, very soon, as we really couldn't commit much to that. Although we did see the Blood Knights in action quite a bit, and Vlad and Isabella, so I'm happy with that at least. All right, easy enough, and man, it's so nice to see the vamps added to the third game engine. I can't wait to see them fight off against the demon factions and the other new factions as well. So great. Now, in terms of healing, it's probably unnecessary. Let's just take the magic. We also got a Tormentor Sword, which is a great early game pickup in particular, so I'm very happy with that. Castle Drakenhof, you're not going to get attacked, and even if you do, the enemy has no chance to destroy you. Do we want to raise any dead here for this? It's interesting, usually when starting off you want to raise dead to take Castle Drakenhof and attack Castle Templehof, but obviously the less we waste on that, the less we cripple our own income early on, which is also something to be considerate of. We should probably pick up some zombies just to, you know, round out our army a little bit, and maybe one unit of Fellbats wouldn't go amiss like that. It's not like they cost that much. But then we will attack Eschen shortly. I just want to make sure that we upgrade you. Magic item drop chance plus 50. Yeah, let's get that immediately. Let's get that right away. Everything else is trivial by comparison. Also, how quickly do you get your quest for your Blood Drinker? Oh, right, it's not in the it's not in this panel anymore. It's in objectives, I think. Wait, missions? No. How do you get your Blood Drinker? Damn it! Oh, I could have sworn it was in objectives. Well, we'll figure it out later. Anyway, let's also get our first research. Usually I go for the Lamian Book of Blood first, as it does have Vampire Corruption and income and growth and all the good stuff, and I'm still gonna do that right now. And oh, interesting. Oh wow, 20 physical resistance for zombies. Vanguard deployment for zombies, not so useful in Vlad's army. Recruitment for raised dead cost minus 50 for zombies. Huh. So that makes it seem like this is now a little bit more worth it, at least in the early game. Perfect Vigor for Skeleton Warriors and Skeleton Spearmen. Surprising insofar as they don't have Perfect Vigor in the first place. Let's see. Well, all the Ethereal unit stuff is unnecessary, but the upkeep for Fellbats and Direwolves could be pretty decent, especially as Isabella buffs them fairly significantly. But still, we go through this first. Alrighty, and I forgot to build a building here, didn't I? Do we go for the gold mine? You know what, it's not like we need more vampires right now. One is fine, we'll get a second one shortly. But we probably won't need more than that. Don't need to recruit any Master Necromancers or anything like that. And oh! Have the buildings changed as well? White King, Ancient Armory through the Black Knights building. Crypt, yada yada yada. We got the Cairnwraiths as part of the Corpse Cart building, and yes, the Mourngulls are now available through the Vargeist tree, which is very, very nice. And literal tree. I was talking about this throughout my Noctilus campaign before, that it's very strange that Mourngulls are available to the Vampire Coast and not the Vampire Counts. If anything, in some ways it should be the other way around, but at least we now have access to them. And they're quite fun units, though I assume we don't have access to the ethereal Mourngull Haunter, but still, take what you can get. Anyway, oh wow, 250 from the Gibbet. Charnel Pit for growth. You know what, screw it. Charnel Pit for growth, we'll get the other stuff after, because this is upgrading anyway. Alright, let's get Eschen, which will round out the province as well. Go. Should Vlad be holding onto the Tormentor Sword? Yeah, he's always in the center of combat. We're going to fight this manually, but we're not going to bother doing it cinematically because, well, let's face it, without a vampire, this particular army is going to go down very quick. We'll do a cinematic battle when we take Castle Templehof. Oh, wow, and reconquering everything in this entire area, well, in the old world and the new world alike, now that they've been added with the minor settlement battles that look different than they did in the first and second game. It's all new, and I love it. Once again, having played the Vampire Counts so much over the years, and just to re-experience everything, it's just so great. But honestly, at this point, it's just having to go through every single faction to rediscover everything. Breathing new life into every faction. Anyway, we're just going to go straight up the center. I don't think we need to move our troops away from each other all that much. Everybody can move together. And just mow through the enemy. It's not like they have casters or anything we need to worry about. Do that, do that. Well, I guess the knights could go around if they, like, charge into the rear of the enemy. Let's put you back here, then. Let's say group 3, you guys can be group 1, everybody else can be group 2, minus the black coach. I'm interested to see if whether the vanilla has made the black coach a little bit less awful. Also, you guys can charge, and you know what, you can be part of that group as well. And black coach, you can be group 4. Knights, oh, somebody's in your way. A unit of zombies. Well, I don't think the unit of zombies is going to be all that concerning. Let's send the Vargeists to back you up. And here we go. Black coach, are you able to get through this? Yes, go. Charge. And want to get some bat-on-bat action? Go. Unless the bats drop down and get themselves killed. Oh, wow, what are the towers going to be like, I wonder? As in, the towers... the vampire towers. Huh. I assume they'll just shoot... like those haunted arrows or whatever the heck they shoot in the in Manila. Guess we'll find out shortly. Alright, dropping bats down. And knights are fighting zombies. Zombies about to get reinforced by more zombies and some skeleton warriors, but with the Vargeists there, I don't see them standing much of a chance. Enemy's nearly dead. Everybody surrounding the black coach. Gotta get some corpse carts and a mortis engine up as fast as possible. Alright, bats, get up. Get ready to destroy that. And maybe we want to separate a couple of our units. Let's say you and you, as well as the vampire. To go to group 5 and then go up this way. There we go. Everybody else attack this. Don't need to use Master Beguilement as yet. Do we want to wait for those skeleton warriors? Yeah, we do. We'll wait for them to join the fray against the Blood Knights and then we'll drop them down. Alright, Vlad and Isabella, you are good. Really need to upgrade you to be able to summon zombies onto the field ASAP. Also want to speed this up because this is not going to be any kind of difficult battle. Let's send the black coach out to fight those skeleton warriors as well. Good. Zombies nearly dead. Rest of you moving through, plus bats. Bats get ready to hit those skeleton warriors or whatever they are in the back. Like so. Now, Castle Tempelhof has walls and a lot more troops, and a lot better troops, so at least we'll have something to be concerned with there. Bats, you need to go for the tower now. And I imagine those skeleton warriors are done, or down. Yes, they are. So you are going to charge them now. Alrighty. Glorious. There we go. Minus the fact that the whole screen is shaking and I can't see anything, but, well, these units are all gonna be quite dead in a few seconds. Stuck between Vargeists and Blood Knights is certainly not a place you want to be. Beautiful. And once again, for those who missed the, well, not so much announcement, me saying so, in the Kairos campaign that just started, the, ow, bats, what are you doing? One of you got hurt. Stop that. The Blood Pack, I believe, is out in 2 days or something like that, so I don't have it yet, but will later on. Anyway, you guys keep attacking that unit of damn skeleton warriors. You want to use a Melkov's Mystifying Miasma? You don't really want. You want to move over here and get heals from Vlad and co. Over here we're good, and the battle should end very shortly. There we go, wait. One of you wants to heal the bats. Before the battle ends. Before the battle ends. Alright, and I think we're free to speed this up because the battle is done, yes? Yeah, there we go. Didn't even get that full Invocation of Nahek out, unfortunately, to heal. Alright, with that completes our main province, and soon we shall attack Castle Drakenhof with another nice cinematic battle. Once again, feels very strange not to have had to fight Manfred right away. I wonder if we'll be fighting him later. I mean, obviously we're gonna want to try to confederate him down south. I wonder if he'll survive the desert. Alright, now occupy the place, please. Some nice wine out of Eschen. You currently have your barrow, which allows us to build skeleton spears and graveguard later on. Do we want to keep this now in Schwarzhofen, though? You have the charnel pit, which is fine. We're building another one. The thing about Schwarzhofen is we replace this with the pastures. Pastures should be a growth building, correct? Just want to double check that that's the same thing for Vamps. No, it's control. Haunted Mill is control. Okay. So then it's not as necessary. Maybe we keep this and then upgrade it to get early Graveguard out. We also do want to get early corpse carts with unholy lodestone, but that's probably not going to be all that early. I guess another key thing is we need balefire hearths pretty much everywhere. Need to start corrupting everything in sight. These guys actually like the fact that we're attacking Templehof, but I doubt that they will like it enough for us to be friendly with them. Let's see. Quick deal. Karak Kadrin is nearly likely to actually, well, not so much ally, but at the very least non-aggress with us. But the dwarfs will declare war on us eventually. There's no doubt about that. So we should probably look towards destroying them ASAP. After Templehof is dead, I would think. We also probably want to hit Templehof next turn, presuming that we can actually reach it in one turn. In fact, just in case, let's get Restless Dead, equivalent to Root Marcher here. Would be nice to get the Hunger, but I'd rather make sure that we can hit Templehof in one turn, if it is indeed possible. This is red, but we'll see if it is so next turn. You, Isabella, and you can get the Hunger, and then we'll get the Invocation of the Heck and stuff after, and then you... we'll get replenished troops, I guess, because nothing else is really all that helpful. Still not super happy about Dark Majesty, but what can you do? Okie dokie, well, we'll see about... do we want to recruit some direwolves? I do really like direwolves, though they are a little bit on the expensive side, especially compared to skeleton spears and zombies and the like. You know what? We'll probably be able to raise some more zombies next turn. Possibly, actually, one. We could do a skeleton spear and a skeleton warrior. Probably don't need the full stack as yet, but we will if we want to fight the dwarf. So you know what, let's do that. And then we'll raise some more as dead afterwards. And we can't yet recruit the Sylvanian crossbows or handgunners, unfortunately, and we've got a few more levels to go until we can get the Königstein Stalkers, our regiment of renown of skeleton warriors. Okay, as for this, income growth. No, obviously it's growth and construction cost reduction. 10% isn't much, but it's definitely what we want to do early on. Control is now going positive, which will give us additional growth. Good. Alright, let's end the turn. I assume these guys aren't going to try to attack Castle Drakenhof afterwards. We'll see. Oh man, 275 factions. That is absolutely insane. Although it's now down to 72. Alright, looks like we're good. You are going to raise dead of one skeleton spear or one skeleton warrior, which will round out us to 2 each, 2 zombies, 2 bats, no direwolves, but direwolves would be useless in a siege anyway. Speaking of siege, Vlad and his siege attacker should make quick work of the walls of Templehof, so let's hit it. We are going to fight this cinematically, because obviously this is a much better set of enemy troops than we were just dealing with. On top of the fact that we have Vargeists to clear the walls, which is always a glorious time. Let's go.
It is done!
Well, it's not quite yet done, but it will be shortly. The Black Coach trundling along and heading directly into the enemy gate. Fortunately, since this is vanilla and not SFO, it won't take 8 years to break a gate down without the without the rams available. We're also going to head the lords and as many units as we can into that. This is probably going to be the proper debut battle for us, as obviously the last battle was far too easy. The battle is going to be joined by the Vargeist dropping on top of the walls and onto the Graveguard that are up here. Obviously the Graveguard stand a much better chance of actually damaging the Vargeist, especially in a head-on fight, as opposed to the zombies and other stuff down there, and with the possibility of enemy towers attacking them at the same time. Unfortunately, this is a very dark map, so it's going to be kind of hard to see what the heck is going on, though on the bright side it is quite atmospheric and does work quite well for the vampire counts in general. You gotta love the vampire architecture. I love the vampire counts so damn much. Look at this gloriousness. And the coast as well, though the counts still remain my favorite. Now, while we're trying to break through the gate and while the Vargeists are fighting, and they actually did take a little bit of damage, though it's hard to say whether a lot of that was from the unit as opposed to towers. No, it looks like the unit actually did do some damage to them, so good job to the Graveguard there. But anyway, I noticed a bug, and I'm not sure whether this existed before. I don't think it happens with Furies, but maybe it does. Basically, when you order your Fellbats to attack a tower, they stop doing damage, and if we look at this, it's 34-35. It should be taking massive amounts of damage, but it's barely taking any damage at all. Basically what happens is that the bats need to be moved away from the tower slightly in order for them to continue doing damage. See how it's basically not dropping at all? If you move them away from the tower slightly and then order them to attack it again, they'll do like 1,000 damage in a second, and then they'll stop doing damage again. It seems like when they hover like this, they're stuck and not doing damage for whatever reason, and it doesn't change regardless of whether there's one unit or two. I'll show the behavior in a second. I gotta retest this to see whether it actually occurs with Furies. There we go. So we move the bats very slightly away like this. Now it's at 2236, right? And then we move it back in, and then it drops by like 2,000 points in a second. You see what I mean? And then they're hovering over it again, and they're doing no more damage again. So just something to be aware of, apparently, or at least something I wasn't aware of. Anyway, the gate's broken through now that we're through the bug. At least the black coach is very much visible, but I can't tell what the hell is going on in here. There's Blood Knights fighting Black Knights, and all we can see are the glow of the whites and their mounts. Not really any glow on the Blood Knights, unfortunately. Oh well. Then again, this does seem very appropriate for what you would expect a battle between vampire counts to look like. I mean, it's near perpetual darkness. There's just undead fighting undead in a massive horde, and it seems like endless units of dead rising. Pretty good. Alrighty, the enemy lord has also tried to move away. I did try to force our way through the enemy, but as you can see, there's quite a lot of them on blocking the gate. Fortunately, most of them are inferior troops as compared to ours, and we shouldn't be too worried about that. The enemy bats have dropped in to try to help out the enemy direwolves or something, but honestly, that doesn't matter either. Alrighty, it looks like our Vargeist did finish off the enemy units on top of the wall, but did take a little bit of damage. We're going to heal them up with an Invocation of Nehek before dropping them in, and we may or may not get the bats to attack those towers. It really takes way too much micro to do that thing, because you essentially have to move them in and out, wink, Slaneshi giggle, over and over again. Otherwise, they will do no damage to the tower. And it's just so much effort. Alright, there we go. Vlad, Isabella, and Emmanuel Posner fighting in here. It looks like they're facing off against some Blood Knights. Or Black Knights, rather. At the very least, the Blood Drinker provides this nice spotlight glow for Vlad, so you can always spot him in the middle of a battle. I actually kind of like that. Probably get some really cool shots with this with with a nicer camera. Look at all those glowing eyes as well as they move up. This would be quite atmospheric to play in like an actual first person or third person 3D game, wouldn't it? Alright, keep trying to move through that. This, I warn you, is going to take a while. The enemy have just blobbed up all their units here, and there's really not much we can do about that, other than just try to dish out damage with Splash with our Vargeists hitting the enemy in the back. At least where the Vargeists are fighting, we can more clearly see what the heck is going on. And they are dropping down to try to focus to the enemy ghouls, as obviously those guys apply poison to us and slow us down in our way to, or in our plan to kill the enemy. Too bad we don't have a single damaging spell. A single Penumbral Pendulum or, well, a Pit of Shades, obviously a Wind of Death. Any one of those would be real nice here. And honestly, a Flock of Doom from Vlad would be very helpful as well, especially against the chaff units. Alright, Vamp's still fighting in there. And yeah, once again, these are enemy bats, these aren't our bats. Our bats are all the way back here. They got a little bit beat up by the towers, and I do decide to move them back in to try to attack these with the irritating micro, where you have to send them out and then send them back in just to do damage. There we go, and still doing damage, and then they've stopped, so we move them back out again. At least the micro is easier to do when the enemy is just blobbing up like this, and you have to spend a long time trying to get through. Yeah, absolutely taking ages. The Blood Knights are just fine, though they are debilitated at this point. Too bad they don't have the... too bad they don't have perfect vigor. The Black Coach has also helped with dealing with those units out there and is now, I think I forgot about it while dealing with the micro of the bats, but we'll move it back into the fray shortly together with the Blood Knights. Fortunately, pretty much nothing in the enemy roster can actually kill the Blood Knights. Unfortunately, I think that what I should have done here to make this battle go a little bit faster is have the Vargeists go after the enemy Lord. I actually did try to do so, but unfortunately one of the Vargeists got stuck on one of the ghouls there, and by virtue of one being stuck, they refused to move from where they were. As in, 14 or 15 of them would fly up in the air, and then the rest would just try to come back to the one that was on the ground fighting those ghouls, as aerial units tend to do. Which is an unfortunate aspect of, you know, non-singled entity aerial units. But hey, you gotta take the bad with the good. Anyway, looks like we're just about through the second gate with our skeleton spears, who were just whacking away at it. Skeleton warriors were trying to move in as well, but decided to go around because I guess this gate was clear. This will at least help us surround the enemy a little bit more. And now they should be suffering quite a lot of damage. Crumbling, debilitated, and I think the battle for this portion of the enemy settlement is ours. At least this choke point will done. We gotta move on to the next choke point, which is gonna be this one, and are going to try to charge through to it with our Blood Knights and our elites like Vlad and the heroes as soon as possible. Here come the Blood Knights. I'm gonna open this up. There we go. Just want to make sure that we have the advantage here by forcing them not to be able to get past this choke point. Alright, come on. Unfortunately, the Blood Knights got stuck a little bit, but the Black Coach is going to head out ahead of them and stop the enemy zombies, as well as skeletons in their tracks. Beautiful. And it actually did a good job of forcing them to get engaged with the fighting. Now, granted, I'm not a huge fan of like-on-like battles. I generally don't like when locations start where you're, you know, undead fighting undead, or dark elves fighting dark elves, or Norskins fighting Norskins, etc., etc., etc. But fortunately, Temple Hops should die fairly quickly. I do expect their entire faction to be dead within a single episode, so we probably won't be seeing a lot of zombie-on-zombie action afterwards. We have Dwarfs and Empire and Kislev to destroy right after. Oh, and I can't wait to see how the vampire counts match up against Kislev as well. Anyway, Vlad's joined the coach, and we got some Blood Knights helping him out, his personal Blood Knight retinue, as well as the rest of the vamps. We still have some fighting going on with the Vargeists leading the zombies and the skeletons and the Graveguard. And I just want to point out that the Vargeists actually got quite a bit damaged here. They did do quite a lot of damage themselves and only lost 2 units, but their healing cap unfortunately did get reached. So it's certainly something to be concerned about. Alrighty, other than that, there's probably not much left to the enemy army, about 800 troops remaining from their 2,500, and there should be like a critical mass point hit at some point in terms of their leadership, where they should start crumbling. Though I do once again gotta point out that with all of the changes that the vampire counts have gotten, one of them I believe is a leadership change, and I assume upgrade rather than downgrade to a lot of those units, which will mean that they won't crumble nearly as fast, especially on higher difficulties with the further leadership benefits to the AI. The player is not going to reap nearly as much benefit. So I guess in many ways that it'll make leadership debuff spells less valuable as opposed to straight up damaging spells, or possibly more valuable depending on whether you stack them to actually get some use out of them. There's probably going to be no middle ground. Like a small debuff to leadership will mean absolutely nothing, but many, many together will be useful. Which is, I suppose, generally the case when you're fighting the AI at the higher difficulties anyway. Alrighty, how we looking here? The enemy is still fighting, but the skeleton warriors are done. There's a full stack of skeleton spears and crypt ghouls still able to defend, plus the enemy continues to build towers back up after we bring them down with the bats, and now our flyers are hurt enough that I don't really want to send them back into the fray, else they get too badly damaged. I did decide to get the skeleton warriors up on this wall to go around this choke point, and then go through here to attack the enemy master necromancer. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the battle ends just like that. The enemies melt, and while we are able to go through, the enemy necromancer will die shortly. But we did reach that critical point. The enemy did do a good job of keeping its necromancer back and away from the fray, though. I did try to attack it several times. I think we would have succeeded if it wasn't for the Vargeist's refusal to actually go after him, as opposed to, you know, going back to that one Vargeist that was stuck fighting ghouls or zombies or whatever. And there we go. Looks like the necromancer melts. Although, actually, I do find it sometimes weird that the necromancers melt in the first place, because necromancers are generally quite mortal, and they shouldn't just disappear. They should rout. And crypt ghouls should rout. Crypt ghouls are also alive. But anyway, decisive victory for us. Templehof is ours, and what, 2 more settlements remaining for this particular faction? Let's make sure they... I was about to say they don't see the dawn, but the opposite of that. Let's make sure they see the dawn. Alright, where are you going, game? Not too bad. We got a Scarecrow banner, which, you know, against the other undead might actually be of some use. There's a lot more flying units on the field here, potentially, and also against the demons, when, and if and when, rather, we encounter them. So we'll keep it, even if we probably don't keep it on Vlad for much longer. XP wasn't much, but it wasn't so much the XP as the location that we were after. Alright, and that bug with the Fellbats and the inability to destroy towers or damage towers was really quite annoying. It took a lot of micro, much more so than I was focused on controlling the units, which granted in this particular battle was easy, because it was just blob on blob action as we were trying to go through the choke, but yeah, just constantly having to control the bats just to destroy the tower, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit, so hopefully that gets fixed. Now, in terms of what we have here, obviously we want the hunger for Vlad. Dark Pact leadership could be helpful, especially for Vamps, although the same thing goes for the Aura of Supremacy, so we probably want that as well. We have a basic version of Invocation of Nehek, which is probably at half power of this one, or the half length or something like that, I don't remember. Which would probably tide us over until the next level. So you know what, let's get the Dark Pact instead, for now. Alrighty, as for Isabella, what do we have here? We could get her the Invocation of Nehek, Or, you know what, let's get scouting first, though, because we want magic items, and we want them quick, damn it. I don't want to be in another situation where I don't have enough magic items to go around. As for you, we want the Penumbral Pendulum ASAP, especially for fighting the dwarfs, because we want to access the easy armor piercing early in the game. So let's do that, instead of powering you up to be a fighter yourself. Otherwise, I would imagine that Fort Obersteyr and Waldenhof might be auto-resolvable, though I guess we'll have to wait and see on those, depending on whether we bother getting more Raised Dead going in. Oh, we're in a new province now. Ooh, we could raise another Graveguard. Tempting. I'm probably gonna do that next turn. And we can get a Corpse Cart going as well. Wait, what do we have here, incidentally? We have the... Oh, that's why, okay. You know, I would like to get some ghouls in here as well. They're a little bit on the expensive side, but they do allow us to get cheap poison on the field. You have Vigor Mortis, and you're also very cheap, so we should probably have at least one of you on the field. Man, this is not nearly as many zombies as I was originally thinking. You know what, maybe we could do without the Crypt Ghouls for now. Although, they're great against... They're great against dwarfs, so maybe later on we'll replace some of the Skeleton Warriors or Skeleton Spearmen with Crypt Ghouls, but maybe a little bit on the expensive side for now. Let's get a... Do we want another Corpse Cart? They are cheap. You know what, let's get another Corpse Cart. And we're gonna replace those later anyway, but more Vigor Mortis is decent for everybody involved, so I don't see why we wouldn't be using some. Let's get a third zombie as well, which will round out the army. Oh! We'll have to raise the zombie from the dead, that's fine. Alrighty, I believe we're ready to go next turn, though we do once again have to watch out for our cash. Definitely gotta get that gold mine and the gibbets up and running, or we're gonna be running into money problems. We're also obviously gonna start getting attacked by the Empire very soon, so we need to prepare. Especially with Raised Dead not working in the same way that it used to. Ah, you immediate... Wow. These guys immediately got some troops on the field. And Isabella, you leveled up as well. Well, isn't that swell? Let's get you Invocation of Nehek. I believe the rest is fine. Queen Bee is not available until rank 10. You need a Penumbral Pendulum, though probably not going to be super useful against the other vamps. Yes. There's potential there. Now, if you guys could attack this... Oh, let's see what it says in terms of casualties. Again with the medium casualties. Nobody dies. But do we really need to fight this again after we just defeated something very similar and not that difficult? What will they have at Waldenhof? Ooh, Waldenhof actually has a wall building, as well as probably we'll have another lord by the time we get there. You know what? I say we ought to resolve this one and hope that we can heal up. I didn't see how much healing we get. Well, I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna risk it and auto-resolve it. Really close victory, though. Let's just hope the heals aren't too bad. Alright, you guys got damaged, but that's fine. Ooh, we got a Razor Standard out of it. Okay, well, the Razor Standard made that very worth it, if nothing else. Very good, and oh yeah, our heal is quite a lot in our own territory. Okay, so that's irrelevant. By the time we get to Waldenhof over the next 2 turns, we will be pretty much full HP. Okay, Vladdy. Is it time to start leveling you up to be able to cast some stuff? Now, you don't need to cast everything. Wait, you have Flock of Doom.
Vlad
Oh, interesting.
von Carstein.
So... Huh.
The von Carstein.
Isabella has the Penumbral Pendulum, Raised Dead, Wind of Death, and Occam's Mind Razor, half lore of Shadow, half lore of Vamps. You have half lore of Beasts, and half lore of Vamps. Yeah, okay, so that's based on your individual bloodlines, I suppose. Although, technically... Huh. Isn't the von Carstein line the one that Vlad is currently using? And what's Isabella using? Oh, we'll see. Anyway, Vlad, you need levels. To a degree. Oh, wow, we can get early upkeep reduction? Oh, damn. Oh, that's nice. Wait, so I take it that there's then no upkeep reduction here. Makes it a lot less worthwhile to go completely through the blue line unless you really want to get Lightning Strike. Immortal Horror gives you battle healing cap plus 50% though. Damn. That ain't bad either. That ain't bad either. Yeah, the problem with Vlad and just Vampire Lords in general is that you have a lot of stuff to choose from in terms of level ups. Let's get you Invocation of Nehek now. I mean, because every Vamp has to have that. Even if Isabella's in your army to cast for you, you should still have access to it. Otherwise, I guess we're good for this particular turn. Zombies are so cheap, you could always just delete these zombies and then get new zombies on the field. It doesn't really matter. But let's just keep it as it is for now. Alright, and nothing to build, right? But the gold mine will be available next turn as long as we can afford it. So we just have to be careful with that. Schwarzhofen or Eschen. What will the wine give us? Probably more control, won't it? Control plus 5, and then wine production plus 32, and then Schwarzhofen will give us control and then money. Well, money and control is better, so let's go for Schwarzhofen first. Hey. There you go. And then I hope that we still have enough cash to upgrade the mine. Alright, good. Next turn. Unless, I didn't already just end the turn, did I? We'll see. I hope not.
A quest has been issued, mighty lord. A great adventure beckons. Be wary, though, for while the potential rewards are great, so too are the perils.
Ah, there's that Blood Drinker quest I was talking about. The enemy reinforcements have 2 Hellstorm rocket batteries and then reinforcements as well, though I cannot for the life of me recall what the reinforcements are here, so as to whether this battle is actually tough or not. That said, an early game Blood Drinker would be nice. More regen for Vlad as well as Blood Kisses, and we can awaken the first of our bloodlines as well. Right now, casualty replenishment rate plus 10 for all armies early on does sound very nice. So does the 25% research though, damn. Ooh, that's a hard decision. Casualty replenishment for everybody, and access to Sylvanian crossbows, or an immediate 25% research. Considering these are... that'll take a turn off of everything, basically. You know, I feel like the research is actually more worth our time. If it's a single turn, unless, wait. Will 25% actually be good enough? I think so. Alright, you know, we're gonna go for the Necrarch first. We just gotta make sure that we get more Blood Kisses ASAP and awaken the other, awaken the von Carstein line. So awaken you. Blood Kiss gain plus 1 from the... oh yeah, and then it's gone. Growth is up. Yes, we know about the quest. I'll give this a read before we actually fight the battle. And... no, even at 125, we're down to... we're still at 4, but these have gone from 3 to 2? Or were these at 3 at all? Huh. Interesting. Well, that's a shame, but it'll... actually makes me think that maybe we should start getting some of these. Upkeep minus 35% for zombies. You know what? Let's get the upkeep for zombies, then. And then fill up more of the army with more zombies. I think that the Skeleton Warriors may not be as necessary. With these ones, upkeep so heavily reduced, we can also make another army of just zombies, essentially. Now, Vlad, you're gonna quickly head to Eschen. I'd like to finish Waldenhof off for good before this episode is over. Alright, there we go, and... wait 1 second, I just have to move my cat. Gotta make a quick cut. Sorry about that. You probably don't want to hear my cat meowing into the mic or scrambling all over the keyboard. Anyway, I believe we just have to construct some buildings, then end the turn, and then destroy Waldenhof for good, which will make a nice ending off point for this first episode. As for those buildings, we definitely want our gold mine, regardless of what else we can afford. Oh wow, the gold mine's actually quite cheap. Our corruption's in a pretty good state already as well. Do we want another growth building? It will increase our necromancer capacity, which we will probably want to get on the field relatively early. Although the question is whether we actually want to build it here. I don't think we can afford any additional vampires as yet. I do want to continue building the Vargeist tree here, though, because I want Mourngulls and Vargeists in our army as soon as possible. I'd also like to compare the performance of Crypt Horrors and Mourngulls. That'll be fun. For this, well, we probably do want to get the Ghost Fence here, eventually, because the dwarfs will attack us, but they probably won't do so immediately, and we might be able to get the benefits of building money and stuff here first. Let's go for the Gibbet right now. I think we need to build these immediately, or otherwise our money situation is gonna get bad. I'd rather save the cash and not build the Lich Yard right away. At only a +5 in the growth, it's not that much, and while I do want to build those Necros, we can do so later on. Let's end this turn right now, and let's head for Waldenhof for the final battle of this episode. Alrighty, let's see how much you can recruit. Watch him just recruit like a complete stack. Not that it'll matter, mind you. Especially as we've leveled up some. And yeah, okay.
Such a thing is impossible.
I wonder if he tried to raise that as well. Also, Castle Tempelhof and Fort Oberstyre. I don't think that we need stuff here, as in military buildings. I think we're better off keeping the military buildings here. Although Schwarzhofen... See, the thing is, we're going to need walls at Schwarzhofen quickly. Walls plus pastures means no room for a gibbet, which means that perhaps we don't want the cemetery here, but we do want to keep it at Fort Oberstyre, which could go walls and gibbet for the money. Castle Tempelhof, you have the ghoul building, which we will delete, but the question is, do we want to delete it later or now? Your growth is pretty minimal. But I do like the ability to get Crypt Ghouls and Horrors on the field fairly soon. Especially since these are fairly cheap. I know what, maybe we'll keep that. Let's also build the Corrupted Village here in Eschen. We already have a charnel pit, but we do need the wine as well as the gibbet as well as the walls. Everything needs to be walled up. One of the best things about the vamps is the fact that we get to fight in every direction, essentially. It's a pretty great location to start, and it's one of the fun things about the Empire as well. Anyway, one more battle with the addition now of a couple of corpse carts, as well as our levels, as well as a Razor Standard. Razor Standard. Who do we want to put you on? I mean, we could power up a zombie unit just to actually make it better, but the thing is, the zombies' melee attack is so low that they're actually unlikely to achieve anything with it. We're probably just better off putting it on a Graveguard, making it an elite, i.e. doing more damage that way. Anyway, I believe this place doesn't have walls, so it should be a fun field battle, which are always appropriate. Let's also put a Scarecrow banner on Vlad, because, I don't know, who knows. Maybe the Fellbats will drop down and try to fight him. Go.
It is done!
It is always done, isn't it? Alrighty, well, this may not be a field battle, but it is still a battle where we can actually see things, as it's reasonably bright out, and that should make it for a very nice looking battle, if nothing else. I'm still of the opinion that these minor settlement battles should be kept to tier maybe 2 and 3 settlements, regardless of the, well, I mean, without walls, that is. But tier 1 settlements should still be just straight up field battles instead. Anyway, Vlad and Isabella are going to run ahead of their army, going to charge directly into the first enemy unit of Graveguard. There we go. Vlad doing a little nice jump as he does move in. These guys aren't really a threat to them, so we're not worried about that. Unlike last time, I've separated our force a little bit with us getting 2 Graveguard and a bunch of skeleton spears and zombies in one location, and Similarly in the other location with the Shadow Vampire to back them up. Obviously our Shadow Vampire now has access to Penumbral Pendulum, so if the enemy decides to blob up around this, well, our own blob, they're going to suffer for it. In addition to that, I've moved our Blood Knights far away with the hopes of getting around the entire enemy army and actually killing the Master Necromancer early in the battle, unlike the last battle. Though, ironically, unlike the last battle, actually would like to prolong this battle just to be able to see the units fight. Anyway, the Black Coach moves in. Looks like the enemy wants to counter it with a charge of Fell Bats, and it's completely surrounded by bats, and same with Vlad and Isabella, who are somewhere within that bat pile. Or maybe the bats just want to join our army because, well, we buff them a lot more than the enemy ever could. Alrighty, and the rest of our forces slowly moving in, obviously a little bit on the slow side, but honestly, after playing Nurgle, I'm pretty used to it at this point, though ironically we now have access to less range ability, at least until we unlock our Sylvanian handgunners and crossbows. And what the heck are you doing, Black Coach? Damn. Alright, looks like the enemy's coming down the hills or rolling out of that fog there and trying to join hands with the rest of the defenders here. The Fellbats are just about dead and the Graveguard are already suffering, and same thing goes for the Direwolves. So at least in this place, our forces are going to be victorious fairly quickly. Over on this side, however, with our Corpse Cart and with Emmanuel Posner leading, I think this will be okay, but obviously we don't have nearly as much straight-up non-magical damage as Vlad's side does. Though we could always reinforce with either Blood Knights or with the Vargeist or something. We shall see. Also loving that effect on the not the Black Coach, but the Corpse Cart there. It's subtle, but it's nice. I take it that's the effect from Vigor Mortis or whatever, the magical aura. Anyway, that thing's not gonna die easily. Now, our Vargeists have dropped into the enemy Dire Wolves to try to kill them off so that we can attack the Master Necromancer without being too badly damaged. The enemy, however, has countered with a Invocation of Nehek as well as a Van Hel's Dance Macabre on those Direwolves as well. So with 50 melee attack, very, very nice buff to that, and the relatively low melee defense on the Vargeists, that should mean that the Direwolves might actually be able to dish out some damage to them. I don't want to miss out on the cast of the Penumbral Pendulum, which is why I keep going back here, though. I don't recall when I cast it, but I assure you that I eventually do. Alright, come on. You gotta cast it sometime. Oh, I actually really like the Templehof colors as well. The Graveguard look quite nice in those colors. Not that our classic red isn't great as well. Well, looks like no Penumbral Pendulum here as yet, though hopefully we're working on it. Over on this side, Vlad and Isabella have basically beaten what's going on here. I'm surprised that those Direwolves are still alive, or the second Direwolf is still alive. But yeah, there's no need to worry about anything there. On the other hand, the Direwolves have done quite a lot of damage to our Vargeists, rather. Killing 3 and dropping them down to half HP. Though, of course, because they have the hunger and because we can always heal them up with our invocations of Nehek, it's not all that worrisome. On the bright side, the Blood Knights are here and they're getting ready to run down, surround, and kill the enemy Necromancer. Also, they're Blood Knights, so they are doing weapon strength 50. It's pretty okay considering they're 60 units or 60 models in the unit, aren't there? Yeah, this guy's gonna go down very quickly in those circumstances. And oh, just missed it. Seeing the track from that Penumbral Pendulum and going through the enemy. Oh well. We'll see plenty more Penumbral Pendulums throughout this campaign. Oh, I like the little dust field that it's leaving. And now I'm no longer sure about stuff, like, was that effect always there, or was it part of the third game, or no? Obviously the graphics have been updated to some degree. Well, regardless, Undead back to fighting Undead. The enemy Lord is now at, what, 20% HP and dropping, and will probably die shortly. Our Vargeists are also trying to fly back to Daddy, so that they can get some nice heals. Ah, absolutely glorious. The fact that we can see how glorious this map looks is great. Although I'm still a little bit disappointed about the towers. They do tend to reuse these tower models quite a lot, and a lot of factions have this exact tower, even though the arrows look different. And a lot of the times, again, this type of tower, the architecture, stands really differently from the architecture of the rest of the location. Like, really, this should be all craggy, and at the very least, looking like it's about to topple and made from rotting wood and stuff like that. And the same thing goes for Nurgle and, well, basically a lot of other factions. So hopefully that gets modded to something different, especially since we probably have the ability to possibly, or modders rather, possibly reuse assets from like from the siege towers and all that, because those looks pretty fantastic. I wonder if you can rip them apart and make them into new towers. Although I suppose it shouldn't be anything too fancy, like maybe halfway between this thing and then halfway between the particular gods, or particular factions rather. We're not just playing demons. Architecture. But anyway, the enemy Master Necromancer is dead, and the enemy is looking very much the worse for wear. We're going to try to capture this main building from them as well, while we try to help out Emmanuel Posner and this particular location. Still way too many enemies left here, though they're about to get hit by those Vargeists from the back. We're also getting our Black Coach to help out as well. If only we had another cast of Penumbral Pendulum available. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough mana to cast it twice. And here comes the Black Coach, although the Vargeists are a little bit in the way. Just gonna move it aside and then right in there. All right. Deeper, please. You heard me, Nakari. And there we go. I do believe the battle is over. The entire enemy army is about to rout, and there it is. Chain Rout is here. Our Fellbats move in to get the enemy in the back, but not that it's needed. Obviously, we didn't really need all the support here where Vlad and Isabella were, as they won pretty handily against whatever stood against them in that choke point, and otherwise turned out to be a pretty easy battle. Well done, everybody. Well done. And so falls Tempelhof. Perfect. Decisive victory, and I do believe any of the damage that we've actually taken here will be healed up over the end turn, and then we will have our choice of where to go next. There we go, not too bad at all. We got a free Black Periapt out of it, which is a very nice pickup as well. After the Razor Standard and the Tormentor Sword, I'm pretty happy with the pickups thus far. Otherwise, the Black Coach, nearly 10k damage and 146 kills. Beating out pretty much everybody with the exception of the Vampire of Shadows, but that was because of the single use of Penumbral Pendulum. Looks like the Vargeists did more damage, but they also took more damage themselves and got less kills. Pretty happy with the Black Coach, surprisingly. Never thought I'd say that about a Black Coach, but here we are. This unit is on the rise again. Let us subjugate. No, that's pointless. Waldenhof is now ours. You get a Black Periapt, and Northern Sylvania is now is now completely secure. There we go. Alrighty, I think this is once again a pretty good point to end this first episode off on, as we now have a base of operations with all of Sylvania, and then we will have to choose who we attack next, whether it be Wood Elves, Dwarfs. It's most likely going to be Dwarfs. At the very least, Karak-Kadrin, because they're right beside Vlad right now. Then probably the Empire, although... Stirland, at the very least, don't mind us as much anymore because we've attacked Tempelhof, so maybe we could somehow peace out with them. We should, however, still expect everybody nearby to declare war on us, so we should prepare for that to occur. And I'd rather early game dwarfs be destroyed rather than waiting for late game dwarfs to grow powerful and irritating. Otherwise, I definitely want to head more towards Kislev than I normally would have otherwise in a Vampire Counts campaign, mostly because I want to once again face off against newer enemies. So that's exciting. Stay tuned for more Vlad and Izzy. Don't forget to leave a like and comment for your friendly neighborhood heretic. All glory to the algorithm. and thanks for watching.